Let's.
Thanks.
Hi, everyone.
And also pop your chat open and put the mute on. And that's the only
Yep.
other things that worth saying at this point.
Yeah. So, hi, everyone. Welcome. And I want to start by acknowledging the First Nations people of the land that I'm on, the Ngunnawal people, and also the people all across the country who have been custodians of this land, and to pay respects to their elders past and present. Welcome you all along today. We're going to talk about seed saving education today, about resources for learning about seed saving, but also for doing community education. We're going to have 3 presentations, but we also want to create the space for people to be able to share your ideas, ask questions. It's a really nice small group, so we don't have to be super formal. So the basic layout for today is, in a little while, I'm going to do a presentation on how to learn, well, different resources for learning about seed saving and getting more inspired and keeping up the inspiration about seed saving, and a little bit about an overview of what Canberra Seed Savers does in our community education program. And then I'm going to throw over to Jeff Alcott, who's from Bellingen Seed Savers up Coffs Harbour way. And Jeff is going to talk to us about and show us some fantastic pictures about all of the fun activities and educational activities that Bellingen Seed Savers does. Once we've both done our presentations, we're going to do a combined question and answer. We've got really similar sorts of themes, so we just want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to, ask questions at that point, and also to share your thoughts and your ideas as well. Then we're going to chuck over to Liz, who is going to take us a bit through the relevant sort of educational resources on the Seed Savers Connect website. And then we'll have a bit of a discussion. If there's something in particular that comes out of what we've been looking at today, then we can dig in on that. We've got some other questions to kind of consider. So what sort of resources do people want? What's your experience been, and all that sort of sharing. So that's a bit of an overview of what we're going to look at today. In kind of preparing for this and setting up for it, it really struck me how different it is to try and do educational stuff online and on Zoom to doing it in person, and some of the challenges that come up with doing courses. And one of the challenges that I found with online courses or online sessions is engagement. It's a much more difficult forum for people to engage in. So please help me out. Please speak up, pop your questions in the chat, and feel free, to say what you think, to ask questions. The other thing that has come up for me a lot as a seed saving educator is when people come to courses, they do tend to come with a big range of experience, knowledge, ideas and interests, and it can be really hard to know when you're starting a course where to pitch it. Because you don't know who's in the room. So I use a couple of different techniques for that. One of them is just to ask people where they're at and what they've done. And that's the one I want to do with you guys this afternoon, if that's okay. The other one is, and I can't work out how to do this online in a very effective way, but the other one is to ask people to write down on a post-it note what they want to get out of the particular session, or what particular questions they have that they don't want to go home until they're answered. What's the burning thing in your brain that you really want to know? So when I do that in face-to-face courses, we take all those post-it notes off people, we take them up the front of the room, and we kind of run through what we're going to do in the course next to what people have asked for. And that's a really great way to get a feel for what's going on in the room, who's there, and whether they've come to the course that's going to help them out. So just wanted to share that one as the first one. And now I'm going to stop talking because that's a lot of talking from me. And I want to ask you guys to, if everybody feels comfortable, can we take a couple of minutes and maybe just shout out, what's your name? Are you with the particular Seed Savers group? What's your seed saving thing? And what area or what town are you from? If you don't want to do that, that's totally fine. I'm not gonna do the call on people thing if people don't want to do it. So maybe we can start that out, and I might throw to Liz first, who has her hand up. No, she doesn't. That's my cursor. I'll throw to Liz first.
Right, I'm from the Bega Valley. I'm on the far south coast of New South Wales. Is that all you needed from us? Where we are? Thanks.
Perfect. Well modelled, Liz. Thank you. Jeff. Jeff, can I throw to you?
Yes, Jeff, Bellingen Seed Savers. I live in Coffs Harbour, but the Bellingen Seed Saver group spans a big portion of the Coffs coast, from Woolgoolga in the north, Dorrigo in the west, down through the Nambucca Valley to Southwest Rocks. Big area.
Huge. Yeah. Welcome. Nellie.
Hi, I'm with Liz down in the Bega Valley Seed Savers.
Hi, Nellie. Good to see you. I'm just going to people who've got their mics on. So, Lisa.
Yeah, well, I'm Lisa Porter. I live in the Perth area, and it's pretty hot here this week, and we've got a big week coming up of heat. And I'm involved with the Raleigh Stone Organic Growers Group that I started in the early 90s. So we do a variety of things.
Cool. Welcome. Good to see you again. Kat.
I'm in Canberra and with Canberra Seed Savers as well. And what my first thing of Seed Savers that I went to was one of Arian's intro workshops. And then now I help her out sometimes, and we did a kids workshop together and everything, and we've been working on resources, which was really cool. Yeah.
Hey, Kat. Stay cool, hey?
Yeah.
And I realised I am shouting out people. If you don't want to talk, that's okay. Just ignore me, okay? Carolyn, hi.
Yeah, hi. I'm in Inglewood in Central Victoria, and we're involved. My husband and I are involved in the Inglewood and District's Health Services Community Garden, which is just getting off the ground. It was the boxes were built a couple of years ago, and the community kind of lost a little bit of momentum. So we've come on board to try and help get it going again.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Jennifer, did you want to say hi?
Yes, thank you. Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
So I'm from the Sunshine Coast area, Yandina, Yandina Community Gardens, and our seed group is 2 of us, very small, but we do like to keep generating that activity of seeds, and we rely on donations as well as our own. Very hot, very, very hot up here.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Robin, hi.
Hi, I'm Robin. I'm based in St Helens down in northeast Tassie. My interest, so it's not so hot here, it's lovely. My interest in seed saving really stemmed from a year spent at Navdanya Biodiversity Conservation Farm in India back during COVID. And I'm running a workshop at the community gardens here in a couple of weeks on seed saving. So, yeah, excited to hear what everybody else has to offer.
Very cool. Lloyd.
Hi, I'm Lloyd. I'm based up in the top of the Blue Mountains, west of Sydney, and I'm involved in a couple of other groups in the local area. There's a couple of other seed saving ones like the Bilpin groups and scattered around this area. And we're a pretty loose kind of group, but of seed savers, but we've been around for a very long time. Some of the people that have been in our group have been meeting since the 80s. So very, very long time. And a number of those ones are actually retired recently, and they're in their 90s and things like that. So it's an interesting group, and we're still getting people who move up into our area and who are new to the area and which is kind of why I'm interested in this, particularly in this kind of teaching aspect, that we get a lot of different people, many new gardeners and some who have a lot of experience. So it's an interesting group.
Thanks, Lloyd. And we've got Robin Russell. Rob.
Hi, I'm in Latrobe, Tasmania, Northwest Coast, and I'm with the Devonport Seed Library.
Great. Hi. Thanks, Robin. And Brendan? Or let's try to Thea.
I'm here. Hi. I'm just grading bikini for back to school snacks. Here, Canberra Seed Savers as well. Help with the dwarf tomato program that we run here, stewarding about 45 varieties of dwarf tomatoes. And I'm in Canberra at the moment, but I'm about to move to South Gippsland, and I don't know much about that region seed savers group. So maybe I'll pop it in the chat if anyone's got any connections around the Phillip Island area. Yeah, don't tell my employer.
We won't tell on you, Thea.
Yeah.
And was there anybody else on the chat who hasn't had on the Zoom who hasn't had a chance to say hi? We'd like to. Okie dokie, no worries. Well, let's swing into it. So we can get a bit of a sense, because this really is like a great size group to have conversations. I take Lloyd's point, we might have been knocked around a bit in our attendance by the heat, despite the good sign-up numbers, but that means we get more chance to talk to each other, which is great. So can I ask first just a couple of questions to gauge what our different sort of experience is in this stuff? Does everyone know how to do a thumbs up icon, react on the screen, or thumbs up like in person? We can probably all do that one. So either way you want to do it, fantastic, nice one. Either way you want to do it, I just want to get a bit of a sense of the different people in the room. So please, would you put your thumbs up if you have done like a seed saving presentation or a talk of some sort about seed saving?
Many.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, like lots of thumbs. Yeah, cool. Great. All right, fantastic. And what about having run some sort of seed saving workshop? Is there people who run seed saving workshops? Yeah, cool. Kat, you're in that one, mate. Yeah, good. Cool. All right. Fantastic. So we've got a lot of experience in this room. What about your own seed saving education? Who's done like a formal course in seed saving, online or in person, or been to a workshop? Yeah? Yeah, cool. Who's kind of done a lot of self-teaching, like looking online, YouTube videos, all that sort of stuff? Yeah. Yeah, cool. Yeah. So I think a lot of there's a lot of knowledge in this room. Hi Lydia, welcome. And so it's going to be a really great opportunity to talk in more depth about what that experience is that you've had. So to get started though, I'm going to swing into a bit of a hi Lydia, welcome. Thanks for joining us, and Stacey as well. G'day guys, welcome. Thanks for coming along. We might stop in a few minutes and kind of do a bit more of a chat, but hey Stacey, welcome. Hey, did you we've literally just done introductions. Did you want to say hi and where you're from, and maybe you're part of a seed saving group? Having trouble with the volume. Yeah, we can't hear you. Zoom's so annoying, isn't it? I tell you what, how about I swing into a bit of my presentation and then we'll come back and check in. Does that sound all right? Let you guys grapple with your tech, which is never a lot of fun. Okay, so I wanted to share a bit of a presentation, mostly focused on what Canberra Seed Savers does. So we've been operating as a seed saving group since 2015, 2016, sorry. And in 2019, we incorporated as a cooperative, and we've got a range of different activities that we do. One of our key focuses is about education, trying to educate and inspire more people to be seed savers. So what I wanted to share with you is just some of the things that we've done, that we've tried, and what we've learnt. But before we get to that, like a lot of you guys have said, I have done a lot of trying to learn about seed saving myself. Through various online methods, and I've learnt not to always trust the shiny YouTube videos that move real fast and say some crazy things. And I thought it might be worth sharing a couple of the courses that I've done that I know that are pretty good as well, and different ways to learn about seed saving. So here's some pretty pictures of people in Canberra Seed Savers doing stuff, including Thea. And just wanted to demonstrate here that for us, seed saving is about, I guess, for everyone, it's about that community connection, doing things practically together, sharing, and hopefully inspiring the next generation as well. So for me, the first way I learnt about seed saving was actually through travelling and meeting with an old seed saver lady in Venezuela who kind of inspired me with her seed saving program for kids that she was trying to build over there. Came back to Canberra and got in touch with Liz and Julie from the Bega Valley Seed Savers, and went to a course that Julie did. And then for about the next 5 years proceeded to learn almost everything I know by annoying Liz senseless, basically, and asking her a million questions. So for me, I think one of the most powerful ways to learn about seed saving is in community and in connection with the people who've been doing it. And that's been a big focus for me. But I've also done or had a look at or been stealing up ideas from some online courses as well. So these are a couple of pretty good ones. I'm currently going through the vitalseeds.co.uk one. These both cost a little bit of money, but not too much. But they're interesting ones to look at. Because they're online, they're a lot about watching videos, listening to people talk, but that obviously has the benefit of being able to kind of rewind and, start again and give it another go. I'm also trying to listen to as many podcasts as I possibly can. And these are some of the ones I think that are really cool. Bill McDormand from used to be Rocky Mountain Seed Alliance in the US is really, really fantastic to listen to about seed saving. And his theme is really strongly about simplifying, demystifying, and engaging as many people as possible in seed saving. It's really inspiring to listen to on that subject. And then a slightly newer one, the True Love Seeds people have been doing one they call Seeds and Their People, which has got that really fantastic element of kind of learning about the people who are doing the seed saving as well as what they're doing in the seed saving. Free the Seed podcast is part of the Open Source Seed Initiative, and that's one part of that fight for seed sovereignty and against corporate control. And so they've got lots of really interesting information about that. And a couple of other ones. Liberate Diversity is a European organisation, and they're doing a seed carriers podcast. It's got nice little bite-sized pods. And then I'll never know how to say it. Something French from Canada is doing a really great podcast that's kind of aimed mostly at seed farmers, but has lots of great information in it, and he's got good resources too. Other ones that I found that have been good, and so I've really put a lot of text here because this is going up on the website so people can come and refer to it later. But we've got the seedsavers.org. This is the mob in the US Seed Savers Exchange, who have lots of great guides on their website. Real Seeds UK have lots and lots of stuff that they're really happy to share, including plans on how to make seed winnowing machines and all sorts of cool stuff. And then Seed Savers Connect, that's us. and you. And Liz is going to talk us through later a whole bunch of resources that she and Lloyd have been putting up on the website. And then, of course, there's lots and lots of books and, you know, the classic Australian book that we've probably all got a copy of, but you can get online if you haven't. And kind of my personal favourite at the moment, which is this one, which is really, really in depth and lots of beautiful pictures. So I can't actually see if you guys can see it, but let's assume you can. Couple of things I learnt the hard way along the way is don't believe all of the YouTube or socials videos. So particularly some of the ones that are obviously designed for engagement, and not to get overwhelmed. So to kind of always try and hold on to that point that seed saving can be as simple as letting a lettuce seed, you know, bolt and plant itself all over your garden. So just a couple more slides from me then. I wanted to share with you a couple of the things that I think are really, really cool that we do at Canberra Seed Savers in terms of education and engagement. And when I say we, we've got a volunteer group of about 20 people at the moment, I think. So this is all of us kind of working together and lots of members. And we like to go to markets and festivals and have these sorts of displays that you can see down the bottom where we've got seeds for people to play with and touch, and, you know, a seed tray that kids love to come along and reorganize for us in a not very organized sort of a fashion, you know, and to pocket a couple of seeds to take home and look at the pretty scarlet runner beans. We do fun stuff like Kat was just referring to before. Kat's been doing some really great work on, you know, colouring in with kids that's seed and flower related. Clay play, so making these cute little guys that are, you know, kind of clay creatures that have got seeds poked into them. Just as a way to get kids engaging with the seeds and having a bit of fun.
That's things that never happen. I don't know what you're talking about.
And we do lots of seed bomb workshops, seed paper making, that sort of stuff. We try and get out and do a few talks and presentations for groups like local environment groups, also community groups like Rotary, and stuff at local festivals, and sort of cooperate with the like-minded groups. I found that that's been a really, really great way to get more people involved. And even though I go and say exactly the same thing every single time, and Canberra's not that big a town, it does feel like every time's worth it because we kind of connect with a new bunch of people. We, as I say, we do some fun and educational sessions for kids. This turned out to be a really, really long list, which is kind of contrary to my point. But our introduction to seed saving course kind of goes through all of these points as part of it. And we run about a 2-hour session. Some of this we put into handouts because we're not going to have time to talk about it. And we spend most of our time trying to get people like actually physically touching and playing with seeds, planting seeds, rinsing stinky tomato seeds that have been fermenting, or, you know, using props like this guy. I don't know if you can see that, but my my latest seed saving zucchini, and getting people to kind of, you know, break into that and pull out the seeds. So there's lots of theory that we go through, but we try to make it really, really about the practical stuff. And the key thing that I've kind of learned through doing that is about making it as simple as possible. And we always end each session by talking about a really, really practical, simple seed that people can start with in that season. And then we give them some of those seeds and off they go and get started. Last one from me is we do a few topic-based workshops as well, hoping to do more of those this year. We're in the process of building a seed garden that we've got government funding for, and we're just at the beginning of that project, and that's going to be a really key thing for us to be able to run lots of workshops, and particularly lots of mini workshops like hand pollination, for example. We do a lot of peer-to-peer education. That's kind of what we rely on in an informal way, is like that's how we all learn, is through our informal peer-to-peer education. And so we do a lot of that through our Facebook group. We have Seedy Saturdays, which is like a monthly casual, social, practical group seed saving session, where newer people can come along and ask questions and give it a go, you know, and it's not kind of intimidating, and people who've got lots of experience can share that, and everyone kind of gets something out of it and learns from each other. And then as my final thing, I just wanted to chuck in here for you guys. National Science Week is coming up in the middle of the year. And I was talking to one of the people who's preparing materials for it. And the theme this year is Seeds of Science. And they're taking a bit of a, yeah, super cool, right? We're also in the International Year of the Woman Farmer. So it feels like 2026 is a bit of an exciting year for this stuff. And I just wanted to put that up there in case this is down, you know, kind of up anyone's alley, if people want to have a look at it. They give out grants for events and for, you know, running educational programs during National Science Week as well. So it's worth having a look at. All right, so that was me. I'm going to stop there and hopefully I haven't run for too long. And rather than kind of jumping to, sorry, while I was sharing that, I couldn't check any of the chat, so I'll do that in a second. Oh, hey, Lydia. I was wondering if that was you. So Lydia says hello. She's from Canberra Seed Savers. Good to see you. And Stacey from McVeigh Valley Seed Savers Kempsey. Welcome, Stacey. So rather than jumping into Q&A right now, I want to hand over to Jeff Alcott from Bellingen Seed Savers. And Jeff's going to share with us his presentation about what Bellingen Seed Savers does with education. So Jeff, are you ready to fire through to you?
Just looking for my slides.
No worries at all. You got it.
Righto. Bellingen Seed Savers kicked off about 2008. It was started by Arian and David Wallen, and they're no longer with us, unfortunately, but they kicked off a good thing. I arrived from the Northern Territory about the same time, and I'd lived most of my life in the Northern Territory, and it was a good opportunity to know how to grow things here instead of the top-end tropical environment. So I quickly got to know the key players in the group, share seeds and knowledge, and what to grow, when to grow it. Valuable group. Initially, they started out just with a table at the Bellingen Plant Fair, which is a twice annual gathering of stall holders. There's probably about 120 stall holders at the plant fair. So that was their main means of educating the community, was about seed saving, what it was about, how to save heirloom varieties of seeds. Their next idea to gain some traction and share knowledge was just through newsletters. So they'd capture email addresses from like-minded people that wanted to know more about seed saving and distribute monthly newsletters. That was quite effective, but the thing that really kicked off the spread of knowledge was garden tours. One of the first meetings that I attended, I said, let's tour some of the local gardens. There's a lot of knowledge out there. Some of the gardens were quite simple, others were really advanced permaculture gardens that had been around and established for years. So we kicked off monthly tours of gardens in the region. Some were big, some were small, some were far away. So we went to a few commercial gardens as well, permaculture gardens up around Nimbin. Learned a lot from them, but the garden tours were really good because that was our forum to get together, meet the players, share plant material, seeds, know what was working and what wasn't working in various places. I'll show you a whole lot of photos of those shortly. With the plant fairs, we decided let's get and distribute some seeds at the plant fairs. So we started seed processing workshops and started generating enough seeds to share with the community. Along with that, gardening workshops on various things like making compost, all the basic stuff. I'll show you lots of pictures of those shortly. One of our group members was a very keen blogger. He was an ex-school teacher and very good at presenting blogs. So there's a link there to that blog site. Take a look at it if you want. A wealth of information there. David and Irene unfortunately decided to call it quits around 2016. And at that point, we decided that it was way too much work for 2 people. So we divided up the tasks amongst 5 people. So I took on the seed saving coordination. We had an events manager. We had an education manager, a news person, and somebody helped us create a website, which was good. Another avenue to get the information out and about. And about the same time, a Facebook chatter group just to do Q&A with various people. At a lot of our garden tours, we had guest presenters around our region. We've got a wealth of people with immense knowledge on seed saving and gardening. So we're fortunate enough to hire Jude and Michelle Fanton on a couple of occasions to run workshops for us. That was great. A lot of other local knowledgeable people on a range of subjects from permaculture, water management, soil scientists, entomologists, a whole range. I'll cover some of those in the photo shortly. So some of the workshops that we covered, specifically things like seed raising, plant propagation, as in grafting and marcotting. Bit of theory on plant families and seed saving, what mixes, what doesn't mix. Water management. We have a lot of rain in this region, so quite often we have to manage periods of excessive water. We also have a number of really good cooks in the group, mostly vegetarian, but we also do food preparation workshops. It's a multicultural community. So we've got people from all over the world around here, a lot of migrants from Africa, Asia. So the mixing of all those people in our groups brings a lot of cooking and gardening knowledge. We've got some permaculture designists, so they've run courses for us, also done courses on tool use and management, and also wild mushroom foraging and also growing mushrooms. Now let's look at some of the activities. Bellingen Plant Fair, that's our stall at the Bellingen Plant Fair. Can everybody see that okay? So a lot of educational stuff at the plant fair. We sell seeds, we've got displays, and we focus on perennial greens. So what you see there is a lot of things that once established, you've got in your garden forever. We also distribute seed packets, and you can see by that scene there, behind the people are several racks of heritage seeds that we've processed and packaged up. Garden tours, probably the most successful educational tool that we've come across. There's a garden up on the Dorrigo Plateau, and some of the people in attendance there. Also a good forum for learning about tools, what to use, how to use them. Permaculture forest. This guy here had established a 1-acre permaculture garden. Over a period of 10 years, I watched it evolve from a vacant lot to what is now a food forest. A well-established veggie garden there. That's a hydroponic herb and spice and veggie grower. Aquaculture, and also a water storage pond for bushfires. So huge diversity in gardens that we've attended. I've literally been to hundreds of garden tours. On this occasion here, the host played guitar for us. She's a guitar teacher, so after the garden tour, we were serenaded. Intrepid garden tourers in their wet weather gear. One of our group members went over to Norfolk Island to live for a couple of years, so we decided to follow her over there and learn about gardening in Norfolk Island. That was a very valuable experience. A lot of the things that grow on Norfolk applied to the North Coast, Central Coast area. Phil Dudman, we've hired him to run presentations for us on a couple of occasions, and that's Phil in his veggie garden. He lives at Lismore, so he's close by and handy. Up on the Dorrigo Plateau, one of the members there demonstrating some garden tools and other bits of equipment. A garden tour that incorporated a bit of permaculture design and water management techniques. Another garden tour that incorporated a bit of a think tank on what to grow and when to grow it in our various seasons here. We have a resident entomologist, so that's handy with pest control, identifying useful insects versus the not so useful ones. A lot of classroom activities. That's one there with Phil Dudman running a classroom on pruning and citrus propagation. Bit of food preparation, fermentation workshop. Selecting and collecting. This is a slide out of one of my presentations. And one of the great challenges we've faced is teaching people the right time to harvest material. What's mature, what's not mature, what's well past it. So when we call for donations for seeds in seed processing workshops, so often we receive seeds that are immature, still not quite there. And occasionally seeds have actually germinated in pods and then re-dried, and they look viable and they turned out not to be viable. Things like peas and beans in particular. So the stress there with our workshops is wait for maturity. As soon as you've got maturity, harvest. Don't let it get wet and germinate in the pods. That's a typical processing workshop. Lots of people, lots of fun, lots of activity. The other challenge we faced is lots of generous donors bring seeds along that have no label or are inadequately labelled. So we say, look, the bare minimum we want is what's the plant variety, harvest date, location, who saved the seed, bit of a description if you can. And the person's name is so important, because if you want to refer back to a particular plant variety, you can then find out whether that pea was a climber, a dwarf, nature of the plant. So labelling is really, really super important. That's some of our seed packets and labelling in progress. Challenges going ahead. We've found that a lot of people really want to know how to grow things. We started to focus on saving seed, but then we found out people really didn't know enough about raising seeds and growing the plants. So we need to double back on that and really focus on getting the seed raising techniques right. The other thing we need to go for is getting more suppliers. We really don't have enough suppliers in our group. In the last 3 years, 2 suppliers provided 2/3 of our total seed production. That was me and another guy. The other third come from about 20 seed suppliers. So we've really got to get the message out there to get more involvement. And we've realised with the loss of Arian and David Wallen, we've got to have successes. We've got to identify young, keen people, get them on board and get them into roles so that we can hand over the reins to new people. That's about it. Back to Arian. Oh, sorry, right on. Last slide. Many thanks to the Fantons. There's the Fantons at some of our workshops. They were the ones that had inspired us. And without the Fantons, we would not be sitting here talking tonight. Back to you, Arian.
Thanks so much for sharing. That was really fantastic and beautiful figures. Such a stark contrast.
Sorry, Arian. Sorry, something's happened to your sound.
Interesting. Can you hear me now?
You're still very echoey. No.
Okay. Well, look, you were going to do Q&A anyway, Liz. Do you want to just go to that?
Sorry, I will take over. I think that's what she said. I'll facilitate while Arian tries to work that out. We were going to have a bit of a Q&A at this point. If anyone's got questions for Jeff and Arian, although obviously Jeff is going to have to carry the questions if he can, since we seem to have.
Now?
Oh, that's much better.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I knocked something. Anyway, yep.
Okay. All right, does anyone have any questions? If you can wave your hand around or use the raise hand function so we can see if anyone has any questions. And since I'm in control, I'm going to duck in with the first question and then I'll come to you, Lloyd, and Carolyn. I can see there's some hands going up. So the garden tours is caught my eye, Jeff, because we've only just started doing them in the Bega Valley. Are they typically larger gardens or do you have some very small ones you've also toured?
Full spectrum, from small suburban blocks to multiple acres. So one of the best examples of a small suburban block is Linda Woodrow, lives in Coffs Harbour. She's a permaculture author. On 400 square metres, she lives off it. Absolutely amazing. So a lot of really small gardens, some people are just starting out and they invite us along to get ideas. So we have design workshops in those gardens. So huge range.
All right, that's great. I'm stealing the design workshops in new gardens idea. Sorry, Lloyd, you had a question.
I was just going to ask about of both Arian and Jeff, how you find I saw some of the problems with succession and things like that. We've got a real problem because we've got a big change in terms of the way that we have a population of seed savers move, and we've got issues with people retiring who were very big seed producers. And then we've got a lot of new people. We frequently have new people who have moved into the area who have just got new kids and they want to start new gardens, and they're actually in many cases kind of like domestic small gardens that are not designed and have not been growing for very long. In some cases they've only moved into the area 2 months before they come to our meetings. I was just wondering how you balance, because I think this is one of the biggest problems that we have, is how you balance the idea of catering for people who are just really keen on the idea of being new to gardening, learning about seeds and learning about growing, and deal with that with people who have more experience, and how to kind of integrate those two groups of people, because they're the two that we deal with a lot. And I think it's a tricky sort of balance between people who have been gardening for a long time and people who are very much new to it. And I was just wondering how you both independently approach dealing with those kinds of different people who come to your meetings.
I'll take that one. Whenever we have a seed processing activity, we'll start off with a little bit of a preamble and theory of what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. And then we'll team up the beginners with those that have got some experience or a lot of experience. So they're paired up. So at least they've got sitting alongside of them, either on one side or two sides, people with knowledge and that can guide them along the way. That works. So whenever we've got kids along, they'll sit with an adult who has got some experience in processing various types of seeds.
For me, yeah, same theory. Depends a bit on the context. So
you've knocked it again, Arian. Whatever you did.
I did nothing. Is that any good?
That's better.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Let's try again. I'm actually toggling back and forth between two different things. So this, I don't know what's going on. Sorry about that. So tell me again if I drop out, Liz. But I would say the same theme that you're talking about, Jeff. For me, it kind of depends a bit on what the context is. When it's one of the reasons why when we're doing workshops, or kind of like a more sort of a mix of theory and a mix of practice, as you're saying, we kind of try to break it up a lot and pull it all in together, and start each session with trying to get people to talk about where their experience is at, because that helps them to be able to kind of connect with each other. So yeah, I put a lot of focus in the workshops on trying to get people talking to each other as soon as possible, because then that just starts happening. But it's one of the things that I love most about our CD Saturdays and our other sort of informal sessions, is that all of the seed savers who have lots of experience love sharing it, and that enthusiasm is so contagious for the people who are just starting out, that it kind of, yeah, it just naturally breeds that. So I think for me, Lloyd, the thing is about that cross-pollination, pardon the pun, and just kind of trying to get people to talk to each other as much as possible, which is not always easy, but when it works really, really well. I'm actually at the moment looking at trying to write a bit of an advanced seed saving course, because we've got lots of people who are kind of like well and truly at like a much more advanced stage. And so kind of drawing on people's knowledge for that. And I think for me, that will help a lot when we can say we've got an introduction to seed saving and a more advanced course. That will also help with people who really, really want to dig in depth to give them a bit more value. That's me.
Are there other questions? Carolyn, did you have a question or were you applauding?
Oh, well, all of the above.
All right.
I was just going to ask how long it takes to, in everyone's opinion, establish a seed savers group. We, just to give you a bit of background, we gave it a shot last year and we had no interest. And I did come to one of the earlier sessions, and I think I mentioned that in our area we had tried to attract some interest, but we didn't have a lot of interest. We've got a much older community here. We have an aged care facility, and a lot of people are heading in the direction of the aged care facility. So whether they've lost interest in the growing, but we also have some families moving out from our closest regional point, which is Bendigo. So I'm thinking we might give it another shot to try and get a group going, but any sort of suggestions around how long it might take and any process would be really appreciated.
It happens quickly. We had somebody online from McVeigh Valley Seed Savers, I think. Is it Stacey?
Yeah.
Yes, I think Stacey might have dropped out briefly, but yeah.
Okay. Mark Pryor from McVeigh Valley Seed Savers got in touch with me a couple of years ago and said, how do we start up a seed saver network? So I'll give you a bit of history on the Bellingen Seed Savers. And within a few weeks, they got started. And they're very active now. I've been to a number of their workshops, done some courses for them, and done a number of their garden tours. And they're good. They're a great group.
That's awesome.
Happened very quickly.
So using somebody to kind of get the whole process going, is that the way you think it, the best way to do it? Like somebody like yourself with the background, Jeff?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Is there anyone in the group that would be prepared to help me give this a go in Inglewood, whether it's an online sort of thing or?
There are people around Bendigo as well who do courses. They aren't with us this evening, but they might help with any workshops and what have you that you needed to or wanted to do. And I will go back to the garden tour thing because, as Jeff said, both his group at Bellingen and McVeigh Valley Seed Savers have done a lot of tours to gardens, and some very successful ones in far north Queensland were based around going into people's gardens. People are really keen to do that stuff. And so as soon as they get something out of it, which might just be, I don't know, a nice hour or so out, having a nice look at someone else's garden, that seems to be a really nice way in to get groups going. Sorry, we've got Kat's had her hand up.
I was just thinking what Arian was saying about, like, because I was thinking our CD Saturdays as well. Because even when we have an event like the tomato thing, so we have like a snacks table or pizza, and then everyone just hangs out and like asks, like new people ask all the experienced people all these questions, and then everyone's always just chatting because and then also I thought it was interesting like how about how people were wanting to know how to grow stuff, and like I know Arian made like was trying to do a thing about like kind of advanced seed saving, but then a lot of people ended up they wanted to learn how to grow stuff, like it was too much of a range of people. So I think that's cool that you're splitting it up kind of thing, because it was like I guess it's two different focuses, like the advanced seed saving and then learning, but it's cool that it fits all demographics, different like things. Yeah.
Thanks, Kat. Thea, sorry.
I was just thanks so much for the presentation. So we're fantastic, Jeff and Arian. They were so good. I just, on Caroline's point, I was thinking more about diversifying how you advertise things. Like if you just put it as a Facebook event, we found we will miss whole segments of the community. And sometimes we'll do the odd community radio spot and people will turn up having heard on the radio. So just putting it in different formats, flyers at the local shops and Instagram, social media, but not just leaning on that, and word of mouth as well, like through co-workers and that sort of stuff. We've found that you can pick up people that come out of the woodwork that you didn't know wanted to be part.
Okay, that's good.
Can you hear me, Liz?
It's gone again.
This is crazy. I really want to say something. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, this is weird. I did just want to say, Kat made such an excellent point about one of the biggest things we've had get people involved is exactly what Jeff was saying before and what Kat was saying, is growing from seed. Like it feels weird as seed savers to be teaching people how to grow from seed, but that brings in heaps of people and then we hook them. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, I just wanted to back in what Thea was saying as well, like diversification of channels to kind of connect with people, but also diversity of people. So I've gone and talked to like local Rotary clubs, primary school kids, like, you know what I mean? Just kind of things you wouldn't, not necessarily people who are into gardening, but people who are into community, and kind of making that connection and trying to draw people from there. Our experience with Canberra Seed Savers, and Thea's been around forever as well with me doing this, is a bit different to Jeff's. It took quite a while, and it was very steady and systematic, and we built slowly over a number of years, and started adding different activities and different things as we went. So yeah, I'd say persist if it doesn't come together quickly. It's worth persisting.
Thanks, Arian.
Lisa, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, you know, if you're in an older community as well, you know, we have one little group that meets at a library. You know, people come to the library, have a cup of tea, and then they, you know, because a lot of those older people like to go to libraries and books. They don't want things online, ebooks and all of that. So that might be another option to get them to gather together.
That's a good idea. Thanks, Lisa.
Can I just say, one of the things that's really surprised me is because I've been to lots of other Seed Saver groups meetings, including people overseas, and locations overseas. And what I really find fascinating is every single Seed Saver group is completely different from all of the others. Like really, really, really different in that you find people who really just meet in libraries. Our group only meets in a hall. We don't do garden meetings, and we've had lots of people in the group say we'd really like to do group meetings, but no one wants to have everyone over to their garden for various reasons. They either don't have the space, or they feel embarrassed, or for a whole range of other reasons. And yet there's another group, for example, I again refer to the people in the northern Blue Mountains area, Bilpin. They're all retired. A large number of them are retired and active market gardeners. And so what they do is they go to each other's properties, and they've got really, really significant properties. So you can actually kind of get lost on them when you do their garden tours. But the point is that there are people who have very, very different interests and what they want to get on. And like I said before, our group has changed a lot over the last 10 years, particularly where we are now getting many, many more people who are young families who basically want to learn about the idea of both growing and seed saving, and for a range of different reasons. Some of them for the idea of becoming self-sufficient, but also particularly focused on just the children and teaching their children. However, what happens is often after a certain period of time, around about a year, 2 years, those people tend to drop out because their children get interested in other things. And so it's actually driven by their children's interests rather than theirs. And so we've had a number of people do that, where they've come along for a period of time and then kind of moved on. They still turn up once a year maybe, and we still consider them to be part of the group. But I find it rather interesting how, and what really fascinated me was a while back we had one of these Zooms on all of the seed libraries, where we had large numbers of people who only really meet to swap seed. And in some cases, they don't even really meet. They actually just simply deposit the seed in repositories. So I think it's kind of interesting how diverse the actual process can be. And I think it's really difficult, particularly if you've got older people, like at one point a number of years ago, where we had a large group of people who were all in their late 80s and into their 90s. We had like about 7 or 8 people in that group. And so that was actually quite difficult, because their ability to drive and their ability to actually make it outside of our hall venue was actually quite tricky as well. So I just point out that it is interesting how diverse and how people have very different interests and levels of knowledge. And some people with a lot of knowledge don't have accessibility to be able to make it to more complex meetings where you're actually doing activities and so on as well. So I just think it's an interesting thing to think about, that there is such a diversity of people out there.
Thanks, Lloyd. And the seed library things that you mentioned before is really, really common. I think most of the groups in Tasmania are on that basis, and maybe Robin can jump in, or Robin. They were both Robin from Tasmania, I think. Tia, you have your hand up.
It's me again. Jeff had a few questions in his presentation, and I just was going to share some things from Canberra Seed Savers, and one was about supply, and the other was about getting the knowledge of the labels. So for the knowledge of the labels, we developed a very basic seed passport that we handed out at all events, or if someone came and dropped off seed, we passed them the seed passport and just said those things. And we even made a stamp of it that you can stamp on the brown paper bags and they can write on it, $30 from your local stamp supplier that says, date harvested, name, location, that sort of thing. And that solved some of the mysterious seed issues. And then if that didn't work, we started a free seed box. So at our events, if there was a mysterious seed, we just said pumpkin, people could take a chance on free seeds, and everyone bloody loves free seeds. So we sort of turned that into a bit of a win, and you can sort of channel expired seeds through that free seed box. The other thing was about supply, and that we have challenges. Canberra Seed Savers is a network of backyard gardeners, mostly like very small urban allotments, and people don't grow a lot of seed, and they're knowledge based. But we recently, in the last 3 or so years, found that maybe leveraging off interests of using a particular seed type as a vessel, like with Dwarf Tomato Program, everyone loves growing tomatoes, and we would give free tomato seeds, give advice on how to grow tomato seeds, how to save that seed, and how to process it through the fermentation method. And yes, tomatoes is just one thing, but we would find that people would turn up just for dwarf tomatoes that we hadn't seen at any markets or anything before, and using that as a vessel. And Arian also started a Seed Guardian project where we would hand out a particular type of lettuce and say, we really want someone to steward this and be the guardian of this seed. And that would give them the power to take on how to save that, get the knowledge of how to save that seed, and work with us and come to those Seed Guardian workshops. So they were paired. We were doing a program, and we used that program to leverage on seed education. And then as a result, we'd get seed back, because there would be, seasonally, we'd be like, okay, it's time to return your seed for the dwarfies. It's time to return your seed for the lettuce. And yeah, people, not all, it's a small percentage, it's a numbers game. Like maybe you have 10 people sign up and one person returns the seed in the end, but using those programs as a lever or leverage as a vessel, that's probably better. Yeah, that's one of the ways that we've tried to solve a seed supply issue.
Okay, we've been having some good discussion, but I am watching the clock. Are there any last questions for Arian and Jeff, or any other comments on education? Anything that you do in your area, workshops that you've done that haven't been mentioned, because we're all up for stealing other people's great ideas, if you've been doing something a bit different. No? All right.
Arian.
That's something to that. Or if people have like workshop material. No, okay.
So, no, sorry, you need to switch your mic again. Every time. Okay. Right, we were going to spend some time at the end just having a quick look at where we're at with the Seed Savers Connect website. So I think I'll jump into that. I will share the screen. All right, I hope you're looking at the page with the map on it. Is that what you're looking at? Yep. So I came here, I wasn't going to show this section, but because Tia said I need to find groups around Phillip Island, I just thought I would remind people that this is here. This is the same map we've got shared to the Phantoms website, so seedsavers.net we're using the same database for that now. So we're asking seed saving groups to register with us, and this group of volunteers is managing that now. And we're always looking for help on this. I did have a look there. There wasn't anything around Phillip Island that we're aware of at this point.
Thank you. I'll have to start one.
Yeah.
I think there's they do some native stuff at the nature parks. Anyway, yep. Thank you.
Right. So the main things that I actually wanted to show you, and I'll just get my notes back up so that I don't forget everything. Oh, I can't see it. Sorry. So for learning about seed saving, the easiest thing to do, go to the resources section. We've started to put together guides for each type of vegetable. So at the moment, they're sorted by families. So we can go into the plant family section. So if we went and looked under there, there's one for each variety of vegetable in that plant family. There's some, obviously, we haven't worked on. If it doesn't have a picture, there's no text in there yet. But we've put a basic outline in for lettuce, for example. So there's some summary information, some photos, some basic things about growing for seed, selection, harvest, processing. Some of them have videos, some don't, a bit about storage. They are all the basic beginner bits of information, and we're actually hoping that more volunteers will join us and help us expand what's written in here, because right now it has just very basic seed saving information. There's not a lot of information about cultivation in different zones. So obviously people in far north Queensland or the north coast of New South Wales are going to be planting and coping with different things, different pests, different, the seeds are going to be coming at different times than they would be for, say, a Tasmanian grower. Some people will be able to do biennials because they'll find vernalisation easy, but doing it in other areas which are much warmer and don't have the cold winter periods may need to use some other techniques. So I'm hoping that we will get to a point where people who know about doing the seed saving in particular areas will be able to add cultivation information. So I guess what I'm saying is this is still a work in progress. We set out to do this because there was quite a bit of confusion for Australian growers because a lot of the information is from the Northern Hemisphere. Some writers in the Northern Hemisphere are very good about writing by season rather than using months, but not all. There's also quite a lot of assumptions about snow and ice and conditions that we just don't deal with. So how does that work here in Australia? So we've been looking at how we do that, what our growing conditions are, how we manage the saving of seeds, because we don't need to dig things up and put them in sand in root cellars over winter, etc. That's just not something that we have to deal with. So there's some basic stuff there. If anyone feels called to help, because there's quite a few that are not even done at the basic level, or who would like to add information about the uses, cultivation, history. If you spot errors and assumptions, because those of us that are writing are doing that from our knowledge and our climates and the way we do things. And maybe we've made assumptions that are completely wrong for other areas. Really keen for other people to get involved. Looking for people who will just do things like proofreading if you're not someone who is up for writing material. If you're up for proofreading and helping with that, very keen to hear from anyone who would like to give a hand with those things. The other thing that we're working on is this variety catalogue. And again, very basic at this point. Trying to record all the different varieties that are around. And we'd really like to get photos of things at the seed saving stage as well as at the eating stage. What it looks like in the garden, how big it gets, you know, for beans, what colour the seeds are to help with identification. For things like tomatoes, we're looking at, you know, what the fruit looks like. And I have quite a lot of the dwarf tomatoes because Canberra has such a marvellous collection from the Dwarf Tomato Project. They had lots of photos. So you'll see that it's very weighty there. But we're a long way from having anywhere near all the varieties that are available in Australia. And in fact, in that variety catalogue, you'll see that we don't even have entries for lots of things that exist. We haven't even got near lettuces or any of the other greens or varieties of cauliflowers or that kind of stuff. So we're very keen for photos too. This is another way to contribute just beyond doing actual text or proofreading. Photos of any varieties that you're growing, because we're very keen to build a record of all the different kinds of things that are available in Australia. The last thing I want to mention about that website is that we've also been looking at a way to make that sustainable for Australian seed savers. That's financially as well as from a, you know, volunteer effort point of view. And one of the things we've looked at is to use that site to host sites for other seed saving groups. So I'm just going to put that out there, that current groups that are already paying for websites, we could probably host those, bring that together, reduce the costs for everybody doing that as a kind of bulk thing. So we're not quite to that point, but I do want to put that out there in people's heads. That's kind of one of the ways we're looking at heading. Is there any questions or comments about that site? Okay, and I'll just go back now and have a quick look at the chat box. So Arian said she's really keen to hear from people about what you do and what works and what doesn't, to share with everyone in future sessions. Doesn't have to be a formal presentation. Sorry, I'm not quite sure about the context of that one. Was that about the education courses?
Seed saving education. Yep. Forgot those 3 words. Yeah. So when we started, people were saying that there's people here who have done courses, who are about to do courses. It feels like there's a lot of experience in this group, and I just think it would be really great to be able to share that and to learn from each other and what we all do. So if anybody's keen and might want to either do some stuff in a future session or even just send us in some stuff, have a bit more of a chat about it, that would be super cool. Liz, I don't know if we've got time now, if anybody wants to share anything.
Yep, we do.
Yeah.
I've just also stuck our email address in the chat box. That's hello@seedsavers.org.au. that's the address that you get the emails out about these Zooms. If you're interested in getting involved in anything or want to give some feedback, that's the best way to get in contact. Oh yeah, and as Lloyd has just commented, to get more example workshop guides and materials on the site. There are, actually I didn't show that, under the resources for groups, there are actually workshop slides from at least Canberra and Bega. And if anybody else is willing to share those things. So anyone who's interested in giving courses, those things are available. We're more than happy if you use them, plagiarize them, cut and paste them, use them as is, or convert them to whatever you need. Are we done? Any last questions?
Does anybody want to share? Sorry, the question was there. Does anybody want to share anything?
I
Go, Lloyd.
Sorry, I just wanted to say at the end, are there any particular topics, or because the next thing to talk about is what, for the people who have turned up today, are there any particular topics or any particular areas of interest that you would like us to try and get people in to talk about? Obviously, that depends entirely, because we don't have a real budget, to be able to get other people in to talk about various topics, and also, you know, workshop examples or slideshows of projects that people are working on. If you have any, please let us know, because it's really good to be able to have some kind, and particularly within our admin group, to be able to have some suggestions of what kind of, there's a lot of suggestions, but a lot of it involves either us talking about it or getting someone in to do demonstrations or so on. So it would be really great if anyone has a particular area of interest to let us know, and we can try and get someone in from a group. There are many people in Australia who are in seed saving groups and or active in farming and gardening and a whole range of other related kind of activities. So there is actually a huge number of people that are available to be able to come in. And also we've got there's a plethora of people in overseas groups who do fantastic workshops, talks, slideshows, videos, and all sorts of things like that. And there are a lot of people here who have contacts with other people overseas who also have interests similar to us. We're primarily interested, obviously, in trying to get local information, and that's the main target. And that's always been the main target for these Zoom meetings, is to just try and get people locally in Australia involved and in contact with each other. So definitely, if you have any suggestions or any desires to hear about something, please let us know, and we can try and organise something. Any topics you'd like to see for the next meeting?
Well, Catherine has just suggested about how people are working with their local library and has even offered to chat about it. So I think we'll be in contact about that, because there's lots of people working with their local library. So it's a great topic.
Remember also to go back to the website and have a look at the previously recorded Zooms. There's actually a lot of really great sessions that we've already covered, and a lot of really interesting people who have already talked. So make sure you go back to the site there, seedsavers.org.au, and actually have a look through the previous Zoom meetings. We've recorded most of them. Yeah, biosecurity would be a great topic. We've been looking at that for a while. The trick there is to try and work out what level of technicality we would want to actually talk about there.
The other thing was, we did speak to Biosecurity Australia, but their people are only available during working hours. We couldn't get someone to come and talk on a Sunday evening, so it would have to be pre-recorded. But that's an option that we are looking at. All right, well, Arian says her microphone's not going to work anymore, so sorry. Thank you to Jeff and Arian for your help this evening. You're talking about your education. It's really, I got some great ideas and also felt reassured that we're perhaps not the only group that struggles with some of those things, or that are, that we're all heading in the right kind of way. So that's great. Yeah, so I think we'll wrap it up there. Please feel free to make any last comments. You can see that a few people are putting some stuff in the chat, which is great. Thanks, everyone. We'll just be a couple of minutes early. All right, good night, everyone.
Good night.
Right, thank you.
Good night. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great session.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Mazza.